The last couple of weeks, we have been dominating with our underdog fantasy picks. We've come in here, we've said higher or lower a handful of times, and we have left with a lot more money than we showed up with. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to give you my favorite underdog fantasy picks for UFC 300. If you don't know what underdog fantasy is, it's daily fantasy. You come in here, you say higher or lower than the numbers you see on the screen, and you can make some very real money. They have all sorts of promotions, all sorts of boosted numbers that you can make up to 100 times your investment. It's super easy. It's a ton of fun, and they will even give you free money to play. The only thing you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/underdog. Use promo code WWP, and they will instantly match your deposit. If you give them $20, they'll give you $20. If you give them $100, they will give you $100 instantly that you can use to build an entry. And if you win, you could withdraw all of that money. No weird rollovers, no weird meshing of the money. They give you free money. You use it once, and if you win, that money is yours. If you lose, well, who cares? You lost their free money. WeWantPicks.com/underdog, promo code WWP. I'm going to go ahead and build a UFC entry. It's obviously UFC 300, the biggest card in the history of MMA. But if we look across the left and all these fancy little colors, this is every single sport. You can mix and match sports. You can mix and match lines. You could even lose some and get paid with the flexible pay option. But let's go ahead and build an entry. I don't like anything in the main event. We're going to start with the main event. I don't like anything here. That fight could be a 25-minute decision. That fight could be a 30-second knockout. These guys are giant. They both hit hard. They both are former or the current world champion. No outcome would surprise me other than a submission. That's the only thing that would surprise me. And unfortunately, lower on a submission line isn't an option. So we're going to leave the main event off the table. Co-main event, similar story. I'm positive who's going to win. Weili Zhang is going to win this fight. And I think she wins it almost any way she wants to, and that's the problem. It could be a decision like her last fight where she just ragdolls Yan Xiaonan. 6 takedowns, 100. Like it could be any sort of fight here. We could have a submission. We could have a TKO. It could be a decision. So we're going to leave that alone. I do like Max Holloway here. Even if you think Max Holloway loses, I have to imagine that you think this fight goes a little bit. Max Holloway has a granite chin. Max Holloway has more than one record in the UFC for most strikes landed. His opponent, Justin Gaethje, gets hit. He gets hit with almost 7 significant strikes per minute. Those two things mean that Max Holloway is going to land a ton of strikes, win or lose. So we're going to go with higher than 119 and a half significant strikes on Max Holloway. If you dig into his fight history, if you jump in to the stats, the statistics, and look at what he's done in the past, he has blown past this number many, many times. He didn't in his last fight because he stopped the Korean Zombie. He's not going to be stopping Justin Gaethje, and if he does, it won't be early. So I think we are good with the higher than 119 significant strikes. I don't like anything on this Arman Sarukian line either. I think Arman wins this fight. I think Arman could win this fight almost the same way that Islam did. Get a takedown, some control time, potentially a finish. But there's too many options here. I don't know if he's going to strike at all. He might be all in on the wrestling, or he might pretend to be a kickboxer. Too many uncertainties, so we'll leave that alone. Same with Charles Oliveira. If you think Charles Oliveira wins, then grab yourself the submission or the knockout chili pepper. They do juice those lines. Anything with a chili pepper, which is absurd. It should be a bone. This is underdog fantasy, not spice of the night fantasy. I don't know why it's a chili pepper. Doesn't make any sense to me. Never has, never will. But if you do think Charles Oliveira wins, then he will win by finish because that's how this guy wins. He's not a decision guy at all, and you can get some juice on those lines. Cody Brundage, I'm going to leave that alone. The fact that Cody Brundage over a half a finish is only 8.5x when he's a plus 1,000 underdog is crazy. But a knockout is 13x? I don't understand. We're going to leave that alone. We're going to leave the Bo Nickel line alone as well, except we're not. Because they gave us 16 and a half significant strikes. We got to go the lower there. And I know that sounds absurd. Angelo, 16 and a half strikes is nothing. You realize Bo Nickel's never even landed 10? He has never even landed 10 significant strikes in a fight. Cody Brundage is either winning this fight in the first 30 seconds or losing in the first 3 minutes. Those are the only two outcomes. And there's not going to be more than 16 significant strikes landed. He hasn't done it before. He's not going to do it now. We're going lower than 16 and a half significant strikes. If we go to Alexander Rakic, I love this as well. They're saying a half of a finish. They're going to give him a finish, and we're going under. I don't think he finishes Jiri. Alexander Rakic doesn't finish anybody. He's a decision guy. He's a technical striker who likes to fight on the outside. And outside of his last fight, Jiri Prochazka's chin is rock solid. So not only is Alexander not really a big one-punch knockout guy, Jiri is a very durable guy. I don't think if Alexander wins this fight, it will be by finish. This is likely a decision, or if somebody wins by finish, it will be Jiri. So we're going to go ahead and throw that in there. Let's work our way down. We have Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. Neither one of these guys are finishers. I don't think Calvin's going to finish Aljamain. If Calvin wins this fight, it will be just good technical striking, staying on the outside while Aljamain struggles to get takedowns. But Aljamain's not a finisher either. He's not finishing anybody. So we're going to do the lower on a finish for him as well. Aljamain Sterling, if he wins this fight, he will get some takedowns. He'll work through a decision. He will grind his way to a win. He's not going to finish Calvin Kattar. I say Kattar. I'm saying Kattar, so nobody yells at me. We're going to work our way down. We got Holly Holm and Kayla Harrison. This is another tricky fight. I'm going to leave it alone because Kayla Harrison could just absolutely launch Holly Holm into oblivion and submit her on the ground, or it could just be a back-and-forth cage control kind of fight. It's her UFC debut. She's a decorated Olympian. But Holly Holm is a crafty, tried and true veteran at this point. We're going to leave those fights alone. Sadiq Youssef, Diego Lopez, similar type story. Sadiq should win this fight by hanging out on the outside and just landing significant strikes. The higher on 40 seems juicy with that sort of game plan in mind, but he's sort of a low volume guy that can take his time. And Diego Lopez might be the truth. We don't know quite yet, so we're going to leave that alone. Renato Moicano, Jalen Turner. It's another tricky one because Renato could, in theory, win by submission. I don't see it happening. Jalen Turner's just too accurate a striker, too good at takedown defense. But Jalen's never won a decision, ever. So if he wins this fight, it is likely by stoppage. He has never won a fight otherwise. Marina Rodriguez, Jessica Andrade, we will leave that alone. We're going to leave Jim Miller, Bobby Green alone. A couple of 40-year-olds, basically. Don't know how that fight is going to end, but what I do like here, we have Cody Garbrandt, Deiveson Figueiredo. They give us a lot of lines to choose from with the Deiveson Figueiredo situation here, and a half a submission, we're going lower than a half a submission. If Deiveson Figueiredo wins this fight, he's not submitting Cody Garbrandt. If he wins this fight, it'll be because Cody Garbrandt does what Cody Garbrandt does. Charges forward with his chin in the air, begging to get hit. So Deiveson Figueiredo is not going to come in here, get a nice clean takedown on Cody Garbrandt, then submit him. This is my entry. I do already have it built. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. We got Max Holloway higher than 119.5 significant strikes based off of volume and based off of how often his opponent gets hit. Bo Nickel, lower than 16.5 significant strikes. That is based off of history for both of these men. Cody Brundage hasn't seen a decision since 1993. Bo Nickel hasn't landed more than 8 significant strikes in a fight yet. He's not going to double that in this fight. Aljamain Sterling, lower than a half a finish. He is not a finisher, and Calvin Kattar is very tough. Calvin Kattar's a guy that can certainly defend all the takedowns, or at least most of them early, so I don't see Aljamain finishing Calvin Kattar. Deiveson Figueiredo, lower than a half of a submission. He's not submitting Cody Garbrandt. I struggled. I was going to say Cody Brundage, and then I fixed that so fast you guys probably didn't even notice that I stuttered. But he's not going to submit Cody Garbrandt. Might knock him out, might wrestle the shit out of him, but he's not going to submit him. And then Alexander Rakic, lower than a half a finish. He's not finishing anybody. For a light heavyweight, he's not a finisher. Jiri Prochazka is insanely tough. This fight is either Jiri by finish or a decision. This is my entry. If you like this entry, great. If you hate this entry, that's fine too. The most important thing here is get your free money. Go to WeWantPicks.com/underdog. Promo code WWP. Let them give you the free money. Use that free money to build this entry or another one. You can keep your real money in the account. Use the free money, build an entry, win, withdraw, and then ride off into the sunset. WeWantPicks.com/underdog. Promo code WWP.